The world changed on a quiet Tuesday morning. Dr. Raina Hale sat alone in the Deep Space Listening Center, watching a screen full of static. She had spent years searching for signals from distant stars, but nothing had ever answered back. Most nights were silent, empty, and predictable. But not this one. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the static on her screen froze. A sharp tone cut through the room. Then a voice, calm, smooth, and not human, filled the speakers. Earth, attend the Galactic Conclave. Refusal will be taken as hostility. Raina froze. The voice repeated, attend within 1 rotation of your planet. This is your only warning. Then silence. Raina stared at the screen, unsure if she had imagined everything. She pulled the headset closer and replayed the recording. The message was real, the voice was real, and the origin point was impossible. Far beyond the nearest stars. Her hands shook as she called her supervisor. Within minutes, the room filled with scientists. People whispered, checked equipment, argued, and tested everything twice. The signal was clear, powerful, and definitely not from Earth. By sunrise, the message had reached world governments. By noon, it had reached every news channel. Earth had received an invitation, or a threat. No one knew which. The emergency meeting of world leaders began the next day. Representatives from every major country joined through screens. They all had the same nervous look, the same tight expressions, the same unspoken fear. The message played again. The strange voice echoed in the silent room. Some leaders panicked. Some denied it. Some wanted to treat it like a hoax. The voice could be a trick by another country, one president argued. This is not a trick, Raina said firmly. She had been invited to the meeting because she discovered the signal. The message came from far outside our solar system. Its technology is beyond anything we have. Another leader leaned forward. We cannot go to something we don't understand. What is a galactic conclave? It sounds like a meeting between different species, Raina replied. People shifted uncomfortably. So they want us to join their meeting? A general asked. Why? For peace. For control. We don't know, Raina said, but the message didn't sound hostile. It sounded official. Like a rule we didn't know existed. Some leaders shook their heads. Some wanted to respond. Some wanted to ignore everything. The meeting ended with no plan, no decision, and no agreement. Humanity's biggest discovery had turned into the biggest argument. That night, Raina returned to the listening center. She couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. Something about the message bothered her. Something hidden. Something important. She loaded the signal into her analysis software and slowed it down. The voice was clear, but behind it, faint patterns hummed like a quiet heartbeat. She isolated them. The patterns formed shapes. She enhanced them. Her breath caught in her throat. It was a map. Not a simple one. A star map older than any human civilization. Lines connected stars in huge loops, forming a path to a point the message called the conclave seat. Raina recognized none of the stars. Their age suggested they were billions of years older than Earth. Whoever sent this message, they had been traveling the galaxy for a very long time. She found a second layer inside the map. It was not a threat. It was a warning. A warning wrapped inside a calm invitation. Raina stared at the screen as her realization grew heavy. The galaxy already knew Earth existed. The galaxy expected Earth to follow rules Earth never knew. The galaxy had been watching for a long time. But humans had ignored the first contact. And now Earth had only one planetary rotation, roughly 24 hours, to answer. Raina rushed to send a report to the World Council, but it was already too late. Leaders were still arguing. Some believed the message was dangerous. Some believed attending would mean surrender. Some believed doing nothing was safer. But Raina knew they were making a mistake. We must respond, she told them. If we don't, they will come here. The message said refusing would be taken as hostility. No one listened. Governments stayed silent. Humanity stayed silent. That evening, as Raina left the center, she noticed people pointing at the sky. A single star glowed red, far brighter than normal. It pulsated once. Then again. Then again. Reyna's heart stopped. The map she decoded showed this exact star. It was a beacon. A marker. A countdown. And the countdown had begun. Why aren't they listening? She whispered to herself. The answer was simple. Humanity had always believed it was alone. Now, when the universe finally spoke, humanity could not agree on how to answer. For the next 24 hours, Earth remained silent. And far away, something ancient and powerful prepared to visit. The invitation had been ignored. The warning had been ignored. And Reyna knew the galaxy would not wait forever. She looked up at the red star one last time and whispered, "Please don't come." But something already was. The red star did not fade. All night, people looked at the sky with fear and confusion. Videos spread across social media. News channels replayed the strange glowing light over and over. Some believed it was a comet. Others thought it was a government experiment. But Reyna knew the truth. The countdown was almost finished. Inside the Deep Space Listening Center, she sat alone, staring at the message she decoded. Her hands trembled slightly. Every instinct told her something was coming, something beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Her computer beeped. A new signal appeared. Not a message, not a voice. A pulse, strong, rhythmic, and growing faster. It came from the same direction as the red star. Reyna ran to the main control room and shouted, "Something is approaching Earth." The other scientists hurried to their stations. Screens flickered with data and warnings. "What is it?" someone asked. Reyna swallowed hard. Not one object, thousands. By dawn, every observatory on the planet detected the same thing. Unidentified objects were moving toward the solar system at impossible speed. They did not slow down as they passed Mars. They did not stop near the asteroid belt. They moved like a silent wave of dark shadows. The first images reached world governments within the hour. The objects had shape, structure, design. They were ships. Alien ships. Earth had no word for vessels this size. Some were long and blade-like, others shaped like massive rings, and a few were so large they looked like drifting cities. And they were armed. NASA calculated there were roughly 2,000 in total. People across the world panicked. Cities filled with shouts, prayers, and fear. Military jets scrambled into the air. Warships rushed into the ocean. Defense systems activated for the first time in history. Reyna sat in the listening chamber, watching the ships enter Earth's orbit one by one. The sky dimmed as enormous shadows stretched over continents. The world fell silent. The ships did not attack. They simply waited. At 9:14 a.m., the largest ship, an enormous black structure longer than any human city, moved directly above Earth's atmosphere. Its surface glowed with faint blue lines, like veins carrying light. A voice thundered across every device. Earth failed to attend the conclave. Earth is now unaligned and dangerous. Compliance protocols begin. Phones, televisions, radios, everything repeated the same message. People covered their ears. Some screamed. Some fell to their knees. Reyna stared at the speaker in disbelief. "They're not attacking," she whispered. "They're waiting for something." A general inside the Pentagon shouted through a global broadcast, "All nations prepare for defensive response." More panic. More chaos. But Reyna shook her head. "No, they warned us. This is not a surprise attack. This is punishment for silence." No one listened. Again. Humanity fired first. Missiles launched from multiple continents, streaking into the sky with blazing trails. Fighter jets shot upward. Drones swarmed toward the alien fleet. But the aliens didn't dodge. They didn't move. Instead, every warship released a pulse of invisible energy. The waves spread across the sky like ripples in water. In seconds, all missiles stopped mid-air. All jets stalled. All drones dropped like stones. Everything mechanical shut down. One pulse. That was all it took to silence Earth's strongest weapons. Reyna watched the global footage in horror. "They don't want war," she whispered. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already." The voice returned, echoing through every speaker again. "Comply within 72 hours. Failure will lead to enforcement. The message ended with a low humming note. Cold, patient, powerful. The countdown had begun. Inside a World Security meeting, leaders argued louder than ever before. They have surrounded the planet, one shouted. They shut down our entire military, another added. We must negotiate, someone finally yelled. But no one knew how to communicate with ships that didn't answer questions. Reyna pushed through the group and placed a report on the table. There is a second layer to the original message, she explained. Hidden maps. Hidden rules. They didn't want war. They wanted us to attend a meeting. And we ignored it, someone muttered. Reyna nodded. They think we refused on purpose. A long silence followed. One leader asked quietly, Can we respond now? Can we send something? Yes, Reyna said. But the question is, will they still listen? No one had an answer. Outside, the sky grew darker. People stood in streets staring upward as the alien fleet adjusted its position. The ships formed a perfect ring around the planet, like a cage made of shadows and cold metal. Families held each other. Children cried. Soldiers waited with trembling hands, knowing their weapons were useless. Reyna stepped outside the listening center and looked up. The flagship hovered above her like a black mountain suspended in the sky. She felt tiny, just one human on a fragile planet surrounded by giants. But she also felt something new. A spark of defiance. They think we are dangerous, she whispered. But they don't really know us. The wind grew still. The air hummed with quiet energy. The countdown clock continued. 72 hours until enforcement. Whatever that meant. Reyna took a deep breath and whispered to herself. I have to find a way to talk to them before the world ends. And with that, she ran back inside. Because the aliens were waiting. The world was afraid. And time was running out. The alien ships did not move, but their presence pressed on Earth like a heavy hand. People felt it in their bones. Something ancient and powerful was watching them. Something that had judged them long before they ever knew it existed. Inside the Deep Space Listening Center, Dr. Reyna Hale worked without rest. She had only 72 hours to find a way to speak to the fleet before enforcement began. Every screen around her flashed with warnings, countdown clocks, and global news panic. But she ignored all of it. She focused only on the hidden star map inside the original message. If the aliens placed secret information inside an invitation, then there had to be a reason. Come on, what are you trying to tell us? She whispered. She zoomed into a cluster of ancient stars, their positions marked with alien symbols. The symbols glowed with faint color, shifting pattern after pattern. They felt like a language, old, structured, almost ceremonial. Reyna traced the symbols again, and again, until a realization struck her like lightning. These aren't warnings, she whispered. They're records. Historical records. The map was holding the story of entire civilizations. Civilizations that no longer existed. She spent hours decoding the symbols, one by one, until a clear picture formed. Thousands of years ago, long before humans walked the Earth, the galaxy had faced something terrifying. A species very similar to humans. A species that evolved fast, spread fast, created fast, and destroyed fast. The record showed blazing wars across star systems. Planets turned to ash, cities wiped out in seconds. Every symbol showed the same thing. This ancient species rose from simple beginnings to galaxy-shaking power in only a few centuries. A single century later, they vanished, wiped out by the rest of the galaxy. Reyna stared at the screen, breathless. The aliens were not afraid of humans because humans were violent. They were afraid because humans were too capable, too adaptable, too unpredictable, too fast at learning, too fast at growing. To the galaxy, humans looked like the beginning of the same disaster. She leaned back in her chair, stunned. This is their mistake, she said softly. They think we will become the same monster. Her heart pounded as she realized what the fleet's arrival truly meant. The 2,000 warships above Earth were not here to destroy a dangerous enemy. They were here to control a future threat. Control it early. Control it completely. Before humanity became too powerful. Reyna felt anger rise inside her chest. We're not them, she whispered. We're not that ancient species. We're humans. But the galaxy didn't know that. Or didn't believe it. Suddenly, an alarm sounded through the listening center. A new transmission was coming from the flagship. Reyna rushed to the console as the screen filled with alien symbols. The symbols were the same style as the record she decoded, but these ones were glowing red. A warning message. The countdown had reached 60 hours. Reyna clenched her fists. They're giving us less time because they already made up their minds. She called the World Council immediately. The leaders appeared on her main screen, faces pale and tired. I found the truth, Reyna began. They're not reacting to our silence. They're reacting to our existence. What do you mean? Asked the Prime Minister of Japan. Reyna shared the decoded records. The galaxy once faced a species that evolved extremely fast. Humans share similar patterns in growth, development, and creativity. They think we're dangerous not because of war, but because of potential. Silence spread across the room. So this is fear, one leader whispered. Yes, Reyna said, and fear can destroy us if we don't change their view. The U.S. president leaned forward. Can we convince them? Maybe, Reyna replied. The records show that the ancient species refused to talk. They attacked first. If we show we are different, if we show unity, they might reconsider. Another leader sighed. Humanity has never been united. Reyna shook her head. But this is the moment to try. The council agreed to let her attempt communication. But she had no idea how to reach the fleet. The aliens ignored every message sent from Earth. They blocked all signals. They jammed every radio wave. Except, Reyna suddenly remembered the hidden pulse patterns inside the first invitation. A secret channel. Only used by those who understood the message. She had decoded it. She could use it. Reyna worked non-stop. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she prepared a response in the same pulse language as the invitation. Her message was simple. We understand your records. We are not the species you fear. Talk to us. Let us prove it. She aligned the pulses, matched the timing, and sent the signal into space. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the entire sky shimmered. A wave, thin and silver, spread across the alien fleet. The warships tilted slightly, as if adjusting their attention. Every ship's lights blinked twice in perfect sync. And then, the countdown paused. Across the world, the timer froze at 59 hours, 12 minutes. Reyna stepped back, trembling. They heard me, she whispered. They actually heard me. The fleet did not reply with words. Instead, a single beam of blue light shot from the flagship. It didn't attack. It scanned. It moved slowly across Earth's surface, as if searching for something. The world held its breath. Reyna stared at the sky in wonder and fear. They want to see if we're telling the truth, she said softly. This is our test. She didn't know what would happen next. But she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had made a mistake. And now humanity had a chance. A dangerous, fragile chance to correct it. The blue scanning beam moved across Earth like a slow, silent wave. Cities glowed under its light. Oceans shimmered. Mountains sparked with faint reflection. No one knew what the scan meant, but everyone felt its weight, like the gaze of something ancient and powerful passing over their world. Dr. Reyna Hale stood outside the listening center, staring up at the beam. The air around her felt heavy, almost vibrating with energy. They are watching us, she whispered. Every movement, every reaction. Behind her, global alarms continued to ring. Governments demanded answers. People hid in shelters. Soldiers stood ready even though they knew their weapons were useless. Reyna rushed back inside. She had paused the countdown, but only for a short time. If Earth failed the test, the alien fleet would continue the enforcement protocol. Humanity needed to act fast. Inside the World Council meeting room, chaos filled every screen. Leaders argued, shouted, pointed fingers, and blamed one another. Why are we letting a single scientist speak for Earth? A general yelled. Because she is the only one they listen to, shouted a representative from Germany. The U.S. president leaned forward. Dr. Hale, We need answers. What do they want? Reyna took a deep breath. They want proof. Proof of what? Asked the Indian Prime Minister. That we are different from the ancient species they fear, Reyna replied. They think we will become a threat to the galaxy. They think we grow too fast, learn too fast, spread too fast. Are we supposed to apologize for existing? A military commander snapped. Reyna didn't flinch. Unless we want to be wiped out. Yes. We have to show them who we truly are. A long silence followed. The Chinese representative spoke quietly. What do you suggest? Reyna lifted a small device, a signal transmitter she had reprogrammed. I sent them a message. They paused the countdown. That means communication is possible. And what now? Asked a leader. Now, Reyna said, we talk. We show unity. We send one message from one planet, one voice. If they see us fighting and arguing, they will think their judgment was correct. Some leaders looked ashamed. Some looked doubtful. Some looked afraid. We have no time, Reyna said. Agree on something. Anything. A promise of peace, a request for dialogue, a declaration of unity. If we stay silent, we will fail. Finally, the council agreed. Humanity would speak with a single voice. And Reyna would deliver the message. She returned to the listening center with a team of engineers, translators, and scientists. Together, they worked around the clock, matching human language with the ancient pulse patterns used by the alien invitation. Every message had to be perfect, clear, peaceful, honest. Reyna wrote the words carefully. We are not the species you fear. We grow fast, but we choose hope. We learn fast, but we choose creation. We fight, but only to protect. We ask for a chance, not to prove our power, but to prove our heart. She converted the message into pulse sequences and prepared to send it. Her hand hovered above the transmitter. But before she could activate it, the ground trembled. The alien flagship moved closer to Earth. The sky turned darker. A low, deep sound echoed across the atmosphere, like a giant awakening. Soldiers around the world grabbed their weapons. Families screamed. Sirens wailed. Reyna's heart pounded. They're reacting to our delay, she whispered. If we don't send this message now, we're done. She slammed her hand down. A bright wave of pulses shot from the listening center into the sky, straight toward the flagship. Everything went silent. Lights flickered. Screens froze. Even the air felt still. The alien ships stopped moving. Their lights dimmed. For a full minute, Earth waited, terrified. Then the flagship responded. A single beam of white light shot downward and formed a huge circle of glowing symbols in the sky, visible to the entire planet. New symbols. Not warnings. Not threats. A reply. Reyna rushed to decode them. Her voice trembled as she translated the message. Earth's intention received. Partial review initiated. A representative will be taken. The World Council panicked. What does that mean? Someone demanded. Reyna swallowed. It means they want to talk to one human. In person. Who? Asked the president. The answer came from above. The beam of white light shot downward again. This time directly toward the listening center. The room filled with blinding brightness. Machines rattled. Wind spiraled violently. People screamed and dove for cover. Reyna stood frozen as the light wrapped around her like a cocoon. A voice echoed inside her mind. Not angry, not gentle, but commanding. You decoded the records. You questioned the judgment. You will speak for Earth. Reyna's heart raced. I'm only a scientist. You are the one who listened. The beam pulsed once, and Reyna was lifted off the ground. Screams echoed from behind her. Reyna! No! Stop this! Put her down! But the light only grew stronger. Inside the glowing circle, Reyna felt weightless. Then the world around her faded, replaced by cold darkness and blue symbols floating in the air. She was being taken to the flagship. Humanity had chosen her. But more importantly, the aliens had chosen her too. As the beam pulled her upward, Reyna whispered to herself, "This is our chance. Our only chance. Below her, Earth watched in fear and hope. Above her, 2,000 warships waited. And somewhere inside the flagship, ancient judges prepared to decide the fate of humanity. The moment Reyna opened her eyes, she knew she was no longer on Earth. She stood inside a vast hall that felt endless. The air was cool and still, and the floor beneath her feet shimmered like polished stone, yet it moved slightly, alive. High above her, the ceiling looked like a sky full of slow-moving stars, glowing cold blue and silver. A single word left her lips. "Where am I?" Her voice echoed softly and faded into the massive silence. Then a deep vibration rippled through the hall. Lights formed in the air, shaping into tall figures. 3, 4, then 5. Their bodies were not solid. They looked like living shadows wrapped in armor of crystal, glowing faintly with shifting colors. These were not soldiers. These were judges. The Galactic Tribunal. Reyna's breath shook as she took a step back. One of the figures spoke, its voice layered like many voices at once. "Human representative. You stand before the conclave tribunal." Reyna forced herself to stay steady. I didn't choose to come here. You took me. Your planet is at risk. A decision must be made. You are the first to understand our records. You will answer for Earth. Reyna swallowed hard. Answer what? Another judge stepped forward. Its face had no eyes, yet she felt it watching her. Your species grows fast, learns fast, spreads fast. These traits led to destruction once before. The galaxy cannot allow the same fall again. A third voice added, "We demand reasons. Why should Earth survive? Why should humanity be allowed to continue?" Reyna's heart pounded. Her hands trembled at her sides. This was not a conversation. This was a trial, and the verdict could erase the entire planet. A circular platform rose beneath her, lifting her into the center of the hall. Around her, floating screens displayed images of Earth. Cities, oceans, mountains, forests, crowds of terrified people staring up at the alien fleet. The judges circled her slowly like towering guardians. "Begin. Explain your species. Explain your nature. Explain why humanity should live." Reyna took a deep breath. "We are not the species you fear. We're not the same as the ancient destroyers in your records." Blue symbols flickered above the judges. Reyna recognized them as data markers. "Prove this claim." Reyna looked at the screens. They showed human wars, bombings, fires, armies fighting, greed, violence, Earth's darkest moments. A wave of shame crushed her chest. One judge spoke like thunder. "This is your history. How is this different from the fallen species?" Reyna stepped forward, her voice shaking but strong. "Yes, we have violence. Yes, we make mistakes. But that is not all we are." She pointed to the screens. "You are showing only the worst parts. Humanity has darkness, but also light. Explain." She raised her chin. "We build. We create. We love. We protect. We hope. We change." The screens shifted, now showing other human moments. People pulling strangers from burning buildings. Doctors saving lives. Scientists developing medicine. Children laughing. Volunteers giving food after disasters. Nations helping each other. Reyna's voice grew stronger. "Every time we fall, we try to rise again. We learn from our mistakes. We grow not only in power, but in heart." The hall fell silent. The judges watched the images without emotion. Finally, one asked, "Humans learn fast, but also destroyed fast. What stops your species from becoming the next great threat?" Reyna looked down for a moment, searching for an answer. Then she spoke softly. "Because we fear becoming that. Because we know our own history. And because we choose to fight our darkness every day." Words. A judge stepped closer. "Show us proof." Reyna hesitated, until she remembered what happened on Earth the moment she sent her message. The thing she didn't fully understand at the time. She lifted her hand. "Observe Earth's signal." The screens changed again. Billions of tiny blue dots appeared across the planet. Explain this phenomenon. Reyna smiled through her fear. That is not a weapon. That is not a command. That is not fear. She stepped into the center of the platform. That is unity. The screens zoomed in. People everywhere, holding phones, lights, radios, sending back a message of peace at the same moment. Completely unplanned. Completely natural. A wave of hope rising from a frightened world. Humans did this together, Reyna said. Not because someone forced them, but because they believed. We still have a future worth fighting for. The judges fell silent. Their bodies shifted color, from harsh blue to softer silver. For the first time, Reyna sensed doubt, not about humans, but about the tribunal itself. Then the hall shook. A loud alarm echoed across the chamber. Red symbols flashed across the air. The judges turned sharply. Reyna stepped back. What's happening? One judge answered in a deep, grim voice. A rival empire rejects your appeal. They demand immediate destruction of Earth. They claim your message is deceit. They accuse humanity of preparing for future war. Reyna gasped. No, that's not true. More red symbols flashed. The tribunal grew tense. They present manipulated evidence. They accuse your species of lying. They insist you cannot be trusted. Reyna felt panic rising in her chest. The rival empire wanted Earth gone, and the tribunal was listening to them. She stepped forward. They are lying. Those records are false. A judge boomed. Then prove it. Reyna's hands flew across the floating screens. She matched Earth's real history against the manipulated images. Child soldiers replaced with soldiers from other planets. Human weapons replaced with alien ones. Destroyed cities that didn't even exist on Earth. She exposed everything. This empire fears us even more than you do, Reyna said. But fear is not truth. The hall fell silent again. The judges looked at each other. For the first time, Reyna saw uncertainty, maybe even respect. After a long moment, the tribunal leader spoke. Earth will receive a final chance. The vote begins. The hall darkened. Reyna closed her eyes, heart shaking. This was it. Humanity's fate would be decided here. Above her, 2,000 warships waited. Below her, an entire planet prayed. And Reyna, one scientist, stood alone before the galaxy. The hall dimmed until only a thin circle of light remained around Reyna. The judges stood motionless, towering shadows against the glowing walls. High above her, the sky-like ceiling flickered as if the stars themselves were waiting for the verdict. A cold voice echoed. The tribunal will now hear the accusation. The empire who challenges Earth may speak. A sharp crack split the air. Another figure appeared, very different from the judges. Its body was shaped like a blade, tall and narrow, wrapped in shifting scales that reflected red and gold. Its eyes glowed like burning metal. The representative of the Vassar Dominion, the empire that wanted Earth erased. Lights dimmed even further as the creature stepped forward. I am General Krylax of the Dominion. I present my charge. Humanity is dangerous. Humanity will bring war. Humanity must be removed. Reyna's jaw clenched. That's a lie. Krylax ignored her. His long fingers traced glowing symbols into the air. At once, the screens around them shifted. They showed Earth again, but twisted. Cities burning. Skies filled with smoke. Vast black ships rising out of oceans like monsters. Reyna's heart dropped. None of this was real. But the images looked frighteningly convincing. The general's voice cut through the air like a blade. These are projections of your future. Based on your species' history. Based on your nature. Reyna stepped forward, shaking with anger. You created these images. You changed our history. Krylax turned his burning eyes on her. The tribunal does not judge history alone. It judges potential. What your kind can become. What you will become. Reyna's stomach twisted. They weren't just being judged for the past, but for every possible future. One judge spoke, deep and calm. Reyna Hayes, do you dispute the Dominion's prediction? Yes. Reyna shouted. Because fear is not truth. Potential is not destiny. You can't judge an entire planet based on what it might do. But Krylax lifted his hand again. New images appeared. Humans yelling in protests. Nations building weapons. People fighting over resources. Forests burning. Pollution spreading. Krylax spoke slowly, almost gently. You see, your species destroys its own home. If it cannot protect its own planet, why should the galaxy believe it will protect others? Reyna felt pressure in her chest, anger and shame mixed together. Because some of the images weren't lies. Some were real, but still, not the whole truth. Reyna forced her voice to stay steady. We make mistakes, but we also fix them. We clean rivers. We restore forests. We help each other after disasters. You're showing only the failures, not the courage. Krylax hissed softly. Courage is meaningless without discipline. Hope is meaningless without control. Humans have neither. Give them time, and they will repeat the fallen species' path. Reyna froze. The fallen species. The ancient civilization that destroyed half the galaxy. The shadow that hung over this entire trial. A judge stepped closer. General Krylax claims humans share key traits with the fallen. Rapid growth. Aggressive expansion. Unstable leadership. Inability to maintain peace. Reyna felt her throat tighten. It was true that humans shared some traits, but traits did not define fate. She took a deep breath. Your records of the fallen show only their final years, when they were already collapsing. You never saw their ordinary days. They could have had kindness. They could have had love. But your memories of them are incomplete. The judges glanced at each other. Krylax laughed. A harsh, metallic sound. Incomplete? Human, your arrogance is remarkable. You think you understand our history better than we do. Reyna lifted her chin. No, but I understand this. You fear another disaster so much that you're ready to kill a world to avoid it. Silence spread through the hall. Reyna's heartbeat felt painfully loud. She turned to the tribunal, eyes burning. Fear should not decide justice. One judge leaned forward, its glowing body shifting like molten glass. Present your counter-argument, Reyna Hayes. Reyna closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered her parents, her students, the people on the streets during the signal, the unity they showed. Then she spoke. Humans are not perfect. We argue. We struggle. We fall. But we fight for better. We rebuild. We forgive. We discover. Even when the world feels dark, ordinary people choose kindness. Images shifted again, now showing a firefighter holding a rescued child, scientists working together after a disease outbreak, communities rebuilding homes after storms, people donating food, strangers helping strangers. Humanity is not only what it fails, Reyna said softly. It is also what it tries to become. A long silence followed. Krylax's eyes narrowed. Enough. Hopeful words cannot hide danger. I have one final proof. Reyna stiffened. The screens changed again, this time showing something she did not expect. She saw herself. Her home. Her lab. Her messages. Her broadcasts. Then, the moment she built the device that sent Earth signal, Krylax spread his arms. Behold the human who claims peace. She created a communication tool that could be turned into a weapon. She imitates the fallen's technology. She accelerates human progress dangerously. Your representative is the threat. Your representative is the proof. Reyna felt the world tilt. Her breath caught. In one moment, she was not humanity's defender. She was the target. Krylax's voice was ice. I accuse Reyna Hayes of initiating first contact without authorization, of advancing technology beyond safe limits, of provoking a potential galactic conflict, and of hiding her true intentions from Earth and the galaxy. The judges turned their cold, glowing faces toward her. The hall darkened. The air felt heavy. Reyna's voice came out in a whisper. You're accusing me of causing this invasion? Krylax bowed slightly. Not accusing. Proving. Reyna felt her knees weaken. Her vision blurred. The tribunal leader raised its hand. Reyna Hayes. You now stand accused. Your judgment will determine the fate of your planet. The light above her turned scarlet, and the trial of humanity became the trial of one. The chamber glowed red, bathing Reyna in a harsh light that felt like fire on her skin. The judges watched her from above, their glowing forms still and unreadable. The accusation hung in the air like a blade waiting to fall. Reyna Hayes, enemy of the galaxy, cause of the invasion. It was a nightmare she couldn't wake from. General Krylax stepped forward, his voice smooth and cold. The human representative stands exposed. Her actions threaten every world. Her inventions mirror the fallen species. She must be judged, and her planet with her. Reyna felt sick, but she forced her back straight. No, she said quietly. I won't let you twist everything. Her voice echoed softly in the massive hall, the only human sound in a place built for giants. The tribunal leader raised a long, glowing hand. The accused may speak in her defense. This is Earth's final chance. Reyna swallowed. Her heart pounded. Every breath felt heavier than the last. All of humanity depended on her next words. She stepped into the center of the red circle. It brightened beneath her feet, reacting to her presence. General Krylax claims I started all of this, she said. But the truth is simple. The invitation came from you. She pointed at the judges. You reached out to Earth first. You opened the ancient signal. You sent the warning. All I did was answer. A judge leaned forward, molten light shifting inside its body. But you accelerated your species' growth. You unveiled a device capable of manipulating galactic signals. Explain this. Reyna took a shaky breath. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even technology. She tapped her temple. It was mathematics. Sound patterns. Frequencies your records used. I didn't create power. I only matched yours. Krylax hissed. Matched our technology? Exactly the crime. The Fallen learned our systems too. This is how destruction begins. Reyna grit her teeth. He was twisting everything. Matching signals is not the same as building weapons, she said. Any child on Earth can whistle the same tune someone else sings. That doesn't make the child a threat. The chamber stirred with soft murmurs. Some judges seemed curious. Krylax scowled. He lifted his arm and new images flashed onto the floating screens. This time, they showed Earth's armies, missiles, submarines, space rockets. A world preparing for war, blind to peace. You ask us to trust a species that trusts only violence. Reyna stepped forward. No, we trust fear. We prepare because we're afraid of each other, of disaster, of the unknown. But that fear also pushes us to save, to protect, to help. The same tools that make war also save lives. She pointed at one image. A satellite. That device helps guide rescue teams to earthquake victims. She pointed at a rocket. That rocket carries telescopes to study distant stars. She pointed at a missile silo. And that is a symbol. A warning. Humans fear war, so we create ways to stop it. It isn't beautiful, but it's honest. The judges shifted, subtle but noticeable. Krylax's voice sharpened. Enough. Hopeful excuses cannot erase danger. I present the final evidence. The hall darkened again. A new image formed. This time, it wasn't Earth. It was space. The solar system. And around it, faint red outlines of ships. Millions of them. A future invasion. This is the path of humanity if allowed to grow unchecked. Their colonies spread. Their fleets double. Their conflicts ignite. Predictive models show a 97% chance they become another fallen species. Reyna stared at the image, stunned. Predictive models, she whispered. You're not judging us on who we are, but on what you fear we might be one day. Krylax bowed his head slightly. Fear keeps the galaxy alive. Reyna felt a spark of anger burn through her fear. No, fear keeps the galaxy frozen. A long silence followed. She slowly looked up at the judges. Towering, ancient, powerful. "You destroyed the Fallen, didn't you?" she asked softly. The entire hall stiffened. Krylax's eyes widened. The judges exchanged quick pulses of light, like nervous glances. Reyna continued before they could respond. "You claim the Fallen destroyed half the galaxy, but your own records were damaged. It's just as possible you destroyed them. Out of fear." The silence became sharp. One judge finally spoke, voice trembling ever so slightly. "The tribunal acted to prevent further loss." Reyna stepped closer. "And how many innocent worlds were erased with the Fallen? How many species were judged too soon? How many chances were lost?" The judges said nothing. Reyna raised her voice. "You're doing it again. You think you're protecting the galaxy, but you're repeating your own tragedy." Krylax slammed a clawed fist against the floor. "Enough! You dare accuse the tribunal? You dare speak as if you understand their burden?" Reyna stared straight into his burning eyes. "Yes, because burden is something humans know too well." The judges leaned closer, as if drawn to her words. Reyna's voice softened. "We fight each other. We fear each other. We fail each other. But we also try again. We grow. We learn. We change." She placed her hand over her heart. "If we are judged now, today, then judge the whole truth. Not your predictions. Not your fear. Judge the real us." A long silence followed. Then the tribunal leader finally spoke. "Your words will be considered. But the Dominion has the right to respond." Krylax stepped forward again. Slow, confident. His voice was soft but deadly. "You spoke well, human. But the galaxy does not gamble on hope. It obeys survival. And survival demands your extinction." The chamber turned icy. Reyna felt her heart drop. Krylax lifted his arm. A symbol appeared. The symbol of final judgment. The judges watched, trapped by procedure. Reyna realized something horrifying. If Krylax activated that symbol, the trial would end instantly. Earth would burn. Krylax's hand rose higher. Higher. He was seconds from ending everything. Reyna did the only thing she could. She stepped into the light between Krylax and the judges. And she shouted, "Stop!" The chamber froze. Her next words would decide the fate of Earth.